Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. It's a very special one. I'm Dr. Lori Langdon and this is a pediatrician full of back to school tips 2020 style, which will be a year unlike any other in our memory. So first of all, let me encourage you that whichever decision you have made about your child for the upcoming school year, it's not the wrong one because everyone has different circumstances and situations and a million different scenarios. And so if you did have a choice, I want to just encourage you in whichever choice you made, neither option, face-to-face instruction or virtual learning from home, is going to be the same as it was last year. So that's one of my main things I want you to remember. If you had to finish out the last year virtually, as most people did, this new school year will be completely different. There is going to be much more accountability. There will be attendance taken at classes. Classes will be at a specific time. And in fact, they have to try to mimic face-to-face instruction as far as hours of instruction per day to get credit for a full school year, which is of course what we want to do. So your child may have a fair bit of screen time to do the virtual school this coming year. They will need assistance trying to stay on task, trying to stay awake. They will need to have a good night's sleep before and breakfast in the morning and structure just like you would at regular face-to-face instruction. So I really want to encourage you to think of the school year, even if it's virtual and that decision may have been out of your hands, think of it as a completely different opportunity, a whole new learning experience. This may not apply to your family, but it does to a lot of families that I work with. So many of us during the pandemic have fallen into some really bad sleep-wake cycle habits, sitting up till midnight, 1, 2, 3 a.m., sleeping till noon or 1, especially with a lot of teens, but even some younger children as well. So it's really, today's August 1st when I'm recording this video, it's time now to start working your family back into a healthier sleep-wake cycle, getting back to your normal bedtime routines, trying to get in that tough habit of waking up a little bit earlier each week so that they're ready to do school on time, even if you're doing virtual school. Now, the most important thing I can tell you on this video is that your child copies, imitates, and mimics everything you do. The words you use, that's why you can't use bad words in front of your kids or you will hear them again at grandma's house. The child imitates your very attitude. So when they hear you complaining about the choice your Board of Education made, when they hear you complaining about virtual or in-person school with all the changes that are coming up with that, they're going to remember that, and that's not going to help them have a good attitude when they go to school. It's not going to help their classroom teacher if they come in with a bad attitude. So if you do have the blessing of an in-person option, I want to encourage you to remember that's also going to look very different this year. The teachers are not going to be able to keep as much furniture in the classroom. They aren't going to be able to decorate on the walls as much. There will be fewer children in the classroom and there will be fewer face-to-face collaborative learning activities. So it's going to look very different. And please, all the parents out there, have extra grace for your teachers. They've never had to do this before, to do teaching during a pandemic, and a lot of them will be asked to do both in class instruction as well as virtual instruction. And right now, many or most of the teachers out there still don't know what they'll be doing this year either. So I know a lot of the frustration right now is that you don't know what this coming school year is going to look like. Well, neither does anybody else, including the administrators, and pray for them too, and the classroom teachers. So I want you to just share a few tips with you about if you are going to have some in-class instruction. One idea is, and check with your child's teacher once you know who that will be, and a lot of decisions are being made right now. We should continue to learn something new each week from your school system. But a lot of schools are not going to use water fountains, so it will be helpful for your child to take a water bottle. I would also recommend that you write your child's initials or some form of identification on basically everything they're taking, because we really don't want to start switching up a lot of things, especially their masks. So if you could write their name in a black Sharpie or something like that on there that would identify them, that would survive the wash, that would be great. You probably heard, at least in North Carolina, the state's going to supply 5 reusable or washable face masks per child, as well as for the teachers. So it would be a nice idea to have the child's initials or identification on there, but also to send at least 1 extra mask in their backpack, because so many things could happen. A runny nose, a fall, mud on there, food on there, drop it, lose it, who knows what all could happen. So it would be a nice idea to have some backup in their backpack. It's also a wonderful idea, speaking about attitudes, to practice wearing their mask. If they go with you to the grocery store, practice wearing their mask, because they'll need to be able to do it in school. And just like what we talked about before, have that good attitude. I also want you to remember that for those children who are going to be doing face-to-face instruction, we really are in this all together. My oldest daughter is going to start her first year teaching this year in the 3rd grade. So if she's exposed to a child in her classroom who outside of school is doing some high-risk activities, huge gatherings, not wearing a mask, they're bringing that risk into the classroom, and then she's going to share it with our family that lives in this home. So I just want you to know, particularly for the face-to-face kids, your choices, even outside of school time, still impact that child's classroom, that child's teacher, and all those individual families whose children are in that same classroom. So let's remember that we're in all this together, to keep a good attitude, to practice careful hand washing, social distancing, limiting crowds, and mask wearing in public, just like we're all supposed to be doing. And that can really go a long way towards keeping your child's classroom healthier and your child's teacher healthier, so that they can continue to do face-to-face instruction. So let's keep a good attitude. Let's practice mask wearing. Remember, it's going to look different this year for both virtual and for face-to-face instruction. And then at the very end of the video, I have some good news. Here it is. I trust sort of the guru of vaccines is Dr. Paul Offit. He's the director of the Vaccine Education Center at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And he is now saying that he anticipates there will be a licensed, approved vaccine by the summer of 2021. That's awesome. So I just want to say, hang in there. This may be a long school year, but hopefully it'll just be one, and we can return to somewhat nearer normal next summer, we hope. So let's all do the things we're supposed to do, and just be grateful if your child does get that in-class opportunity. That's sort of the ideal, and that's what the American Academy of Pediatrics is pushing for, but with all of these very careful caveats and cautions in place to help prevent any outbreaks in the school system. So I hope this was helpful, and I want for you to be encouraged. All together, we can make it through this school year if we all make good choices and show some extra grace to one another. Thanks.